another edition of Now You Novi.
Novi's most favoritist podcast in the land.
You really were going to try there, weren't you?
I was. I did not stick the landing at all.
No, it's your favorite Novi podcast.
See, sorry.
That's all good. But I do like favoritists in the land.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were our former mayor, he may say, your favoritists in the whole country, if not
the
in the
world. Correct.
You're right. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you doing today?
I'm good. You know, I forget. I just kind of said this before we came on the air. I forget we're on camera, and anybody that might be watching is like, well, it's not just the two of you. Are you going to introduce your esteemed guest today? And it's your inaugural visit to the hot seat.
Wonderful.
Charles Boulard is our Director of Community Development. Welcome, Charles.
Thanks for having me.
Am I right? Is this the first time you've been on the podcast?
Mm-hmm. Yep, certainly.
Ever?
Yes.
Do you know that we've got I want to say 90, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was 50, but I'm thinking it's 90.
90 subscribers?
No. Episodes.
No way.
I know. I'm going to find out that number and I'll come back on the next show.
All right.
But Damon and I were just looking at it the other day. So, Charles, I'm sorry. My whole point in saying that was I'm sorry that this is the first time that you're in the hot seat.
No, it's wonderful.
It's wonderful. You'd prefer it be that way. Well, it's spring almost. It is spring. I'm going to say almost. It is spring. Last week.
Just look outside.
Just look outside. But last week, spring sprung, and then we had a huge snowstorm. And today it's raining, and the grass is getting green, and I see flowers coming up, and thought it was a great opportunity, Victor and I chatted, to get you here on with us to talk about, I'll call it community character, right? Community character lends itself, if you will, to maintaining high property values, the lush look that we all love to see around Novi. What else?
I think that pretty much sums it all up together. It builds community in terms of the dichotomy and the assistance between neighbors in the HOAs. So not only do we encourage and assist everyone in terms of obtaining their property, but the HOAs are uber sensitive to this as well.
Right. So it's a great reminder. April 1st, which is Monday, this will come out next week. Yard waste collection has resurrected, and anything that you may have been holding on to, it's time. Those yard waste receptacles can be placed at the curb, and our partners with GFL are in the know and in the go, I guess, at collecting all of the yard waste.
I'm sure you see on your walks, on my walks, people already been trying to put out their yard waste thinking that it's just going to get picked up, but there is a definite time period that it's not like we just choose it. It's the dumps across the land have a yard waste collection time period that they receive that kind of material. So that's when the area trash dumps around us. April 1st is the opening of that for those kind of materials.
So super exciting, and I'm glad to hear that on your walks you're noticing these things too, because one of the things that the good chief and I always notice, and Charles, you can speak to this, is an ordinance the city has about trash receptacles.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of like the green bin police, if you would, some of your colleagues.
Yep. This is that time of year when folks are out cleaning up their yards and things like that. And just a reminder that the trash receptacles need to go behind the front of the house. So if you've got them in front of your garage door or on your front porch, that's probably not the best spot. Please just move them around the corner so they're behind the front of the house. So.
And we give warnings, right, Charles? It's not like
yes.
We're going out there, we're not stealing those bins, we're not ticketing, but we do give warnings, and repeat offenders could subject themselves to some type of stiffer violation, I might assume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's our goal, is to get everybody in a good spot where they've got a place to put their receptacles, and just increases the desirability of all of our neighborhoods. So.
I think that's a great word, desirability. I guess we could have used that when I was talking about community character. It took Charles to bring that word to the forefront here, but desirability and
Takes a U of M grad. Yep.
stop. The set is green. Um, you know, we all want to live in desirable neighborhoods. We all want a desirable community. While your colleagues, Charles, are going around, they're not just looking, obviously, for trash receptacles that are left improperly. It's property maintenance in general. And I think maybe a year ago now, and it's coming to light, I think, because of spring and people being more aware of painting their houses, mowing their lawns, those type of things. Is it a year that we developed a program called the Property Maintenance Program? Longer?
Little over a year ago, we did a pilot program. The way the program works is we've got the city divided into areas, and the intent is that every 5 or 6 years we'll get to every neighborhood, and then we'll start over again. We reach out to HOA presidents and leaders to try to get the word out. We send out to every home, every occupied home, a kind of a self checklist and an explanation, a letter explaining who we are, what we're doing. What we're really going to be doing then is following up and going through neighborhoods looking for gutters that are falling off, old cars that are non-functional in driveways, piles of debris in your yard, in your front yard, things like that. And then where folks have not taken care of those issues, we'll give them a list of things to take a look at, and then we always work with our residents to get those resolved. But also, if they are in need of resources, where we can, we'll connect them up with resources to assist.
So that was going to be my question, I guess. And it goes along the lines of compliance. What kind of compliance are we seeing? Like, nobody wants to get a notice that, hey, your home is in need of some definite attention, right? Be it trees that are hanging on the roof, or that are problematic, or painting, whatever the case might be. What kind of compliance are you looking at, and what has this been like, I guess, as far as the relationship building with the community?
So our goal is to come alongside of our residents and work with them to get to where we see the compliance. In many cases, we'll do a pre-screening of the neighborhoods before we send out the initial letters, and folks will we see that they'll take care of things before we ever even go out to do an inspection. Occasionally, we do run into situations where there's contractors are not available for painting or things like that, and we work with our residents to find a date that works so that they can actually get the appropriate skilled folks in to help them out. But compliance has been very good. We've had very few cases where folks are kind of reticent to talk to us, but generally we've been able to establish relationships and work together to make the neighborhoods better. That's the goal.
They came through my subdivision last season, the Roma Ridge, Simmons Orchard, Bramblewood. So I got one of those letters, and thankfully I was in good standing. But there's some work that needs to be done. But the contractors are hard to come by these days. But yeah, I mean, it's just a letter that you get in the mail, and then you work with HOAs, work with the neighbors to see what needs to be done. So, what do we have coming up on the neighborhoods this next time around? We have Meadowbrook Glens, and who else?
Willowbrook 2 and 3.
Willowbrook 2 and 3. So those subdivisions will be getting letters, or they received letters already.
Letters were sent out already.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So that doesn't mean they're going to go on anyone's property. They're not going to be going up to your window. They're just kind of just driving down the street, maybe even walking on the sidewalk, just taking a look at it, and just being more proactive. So no need to be concerned they're going to be in your front lawn staring at your house. So just you'll see our cards out there.
I think one of the unique things too about this program for me is we look at our houses every day, right? I don't want to say you become tone deaf to it, but things you might not notice that experts from your team might go, hey, everyone thinks ivy or vines growing on their house looks so beautiful, but it also causes mold issues, could lead to window, wood rot, etc. That you guys might say, hey, this is something you need to look at, maybe not now, but down the road, like maybe something for concern, or hey, you might have a contractor come check this out?
One of the things that we've seen that I think is fantastic is if you've got some homes that may need some work, and we're able to get those folks to make the investment and to kind of tune things up, other folks in the neighborhood seem to kind of get on the bandwagon and say, they do improvements where maybe there weren't any code compliance violations with their home, but they're more willing to make an investment, do some landscaping, do a new driveway, things like that, because their neighbors have raised the standard, raised the bar, so to speak. And that's fantastic. That benefits everybody in terms of a desirable place to live, property values, helps our whole community, makes it a better place.
What is, and I might be putting you on the spot, what is the number one issue that you guys saw last year?
In the particular homes that we looked at, the particular neighborhoods we looked at last year, because the age of the homes, there was a fair number of trim and painting and siding issues. Things that need to be maintained anyway. It was just time.
Okay. You did not have any violations, Mr. Cardenas? I'm just
No,
checking.
I checked with our code compliance team, and they said, I'm right on the cusp. We definitely know that our driveway needs to be done, but these are not cheap endeavors. So the driveway for me, I think, is going to cost upward to maybe $10,000.
Ooh,
So
I didn't even think about driveway issues of old concrete, etc.
Yep.
Those like Victor and I that walk neighborhoods, is there an avenue? My neighborhood was not on the list that you mentioned. Is there an avenue? I guess we would encourage people to always talk to their HOAs, right? Before reaching out to our code compliance team or your colleagues. But is there an avenue for people, Charles, that maybe haven't had success, or maybe their HOA isn't as active as others and they notice that some houses in their neighborhood could use some attention? Is there a way for them to reach out, or should they be reaching out? Maybe any advice you could give?
We'll always accept written complaints for property maintenance issues, and where we have a complaint, we'll address that.
Okay.
Certainly. One of the things to keep in mind is that an HOA in their bylaws may have much more specific requirements, more restrictive, especially in terms of maintenance of landscaping, planting beds, that kind of thing. And so the city may not, under our property maintenance code, may not have provisions that we would enforce. And sometimes HOAs will say, well, why can't you do it? Well, those are your rules, not ours.
Okay.
So if folks do have concerns, especially if there's water getting in or safety concerns, we've got a written complaint form. We just ask you to fill that out, and then we'll follow up as appropriate.
And there's always another way, Victor, which is a great segue. We on the website have a help little tab where people can report concerns. I'll even go as far as to say potholes. If you're walking around your neighborhood right now and notice that it's springtime, unfortunately, sometimes the road conditions don't withstand the elements of the winter. We have what is called QSend.
Yeah, really, is anything you want looking for help or assistance from the city, you can reach out on the website, or there's a text, which is 248-268-7611. You can just go ahead and text us that, whatever that concern is, and that will pop up in our database, our CRM, and that we will just handle that and give that to the appropriate party. So again, that's 248-278-7611, and that could be anything. That could be mailbox. We had a lot of mailbox damage during this snow season, potholes, dead animals, anything. So that's anything that we'll get attention to, and that we'll funnel out to the right department. That could be Charles's department. That could be our Department of Public Works. That can be our friends over in the Public Safety Department. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us, and we'll make sure we respond accordingly and get the right department on board to help you out.
Any final thoughts, Mr. Boulard, from your first time in the hot seat here? How'd you do?
Oh, it was great to be here. If I could just throw out one more thing, if I could. One of the opportunities that we all have is to talk to our neighbors. And a lot of times as you mentioned, kind of being blind to your own home. Sometimes there's things that maybe I don't see that, there's some brush that's behind a tree and it's, over on my neighbor's yard or near my neighbor's yard. And so I'd always encourage folks to, it's spring, everybody's outside, get to know your neighbors, talk to them. Everybody wants to have a great community, and be surprised how amenable folks are to working together to solve things. So.
Great advice to take us home. I have an observation.
About my house, or?
No.
Okay, good.
No. We have these headsets on, and I can hear Charles's voice really well. Does it why have we not had him on? He could be doing voiceovers for us. He is the calm, the cool, the great radio voice, Mr. Boulard.
I'm not sure why I even been listening to Charles and I's other podcasts, so Novi Formula One Insights. We do that after every race.
Are you being serious?
I'm not
I don't
being
know.
serious.
Okay, I'm what?
We have tens of thousands of other podcasts that we do about the various different topics that we are. Radio for one.
Radio Formula One. Radio
for
1.
Yeah, only one person's listening.
Yes, we could spread a plethora of Formula One rumors every week.
Exactly. Yes, that only one person would know about.
Hey, let's give a shout out.
Okay.
Charles, the three of us had the opportunity to attend the Novi Business Economic Alliance luncheon. It was a women's panel, and a huge thank you to the 4 esteemed women leaders that joined us that day. Mary Kramer, Sandy Pierce, Linda Apsey, and Joanne Purton were great.
Fantastic.
And we had over 130 women from the community attend. But you and I, Victor, got the opportunity to meet our number 1 fan. So I just want to say, hey, Ruth, if you're listening, you made my day.
All of our yes, you confirm people are actually listening to this wonderful podcast. So I can't wait for Ruth to get more listeners. Maybe have listening parties. It'd be great.
Hey, and Ruth, we may have to have you on once just to chat about. You told me an interesting tidbit, and it would be a great conversation. Do you know Ruth has walked every street in Novi?
That's right. She has.
She may be good on your team, Charles.
That's great. Sign her up.
Yeah.
Sign her up. And with that, we'll take it away and say, now you Novi.